So somehow I managed to finesse myself a conversation with 3 of the top YouTube productivity guys, definitely in the UK, but these guys also have a massive footprint in the world of YouTube productivity. And I managed to get these interviews by literally cold messaging them, whether it was on emails or DMs, and just trying to figure out the right way to present myself as a first-time impression to try and lock in an interview. And somehow it worked. Alright guys, so with London being in tier 4, you're going to be seeing a lot more videos done from my house as opposed to from my studio, which means a few things. It means that Freshly Ground is also going to probably have this backdrop in some videos, but also it means that a lot of the times I'm probably going to be a bit quieter than I am in my other videos, because I'm probably going to be doing these videos when Zakaria is asleep. I did just try and put him to sleep. He didn't sleep. So earlier on in this year, as I started getting more and more into books and also more and more into trying to make my days and my work and my personal life much more efficient, the YouTube algorithm very cleverly started recommending me a whole bunch of YouTubers who fell under the field of productivity and YouTube productivity. And I felt like there was this massive niche as I started watching these guys' videos for someone who was also trying to be on a journey of efficiency and productivity, but wants to apply them in his life with faith at the forefront of them, and being able to share any techniques or findings with my predominantly Muslim audience, if not all Muslim audience. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I think with anything we can take so many great points about productivity and be able to apply them in whether it's studying Islamically or working in the world of work. But alas, I am going off on a tangent, and the point of this video is I managed to interview Ali Abdal, Anas Noor Ali, and Nasir, who is also known as Karma Medic. Another thing that these guys have in common is that they are all either medical students or doctors. That just kind of happened to be the case. Like, it seems like a lot of medic students and also law students are doing this kind of content on YouTube. That was kind of something that was unintentional. So the aim of me getting in touch with these guys was to be able to share with you some of the techniques that they use to be ultra productive. But what I gained from them was something completely different. I realized that them being productive was actually a result of something. It wasn't the thing. Like, I always had in my mind that these guys are productive because they are productive, but it's actually that they're productive as a result of this other thing. And that other thing that I found as a common occurrence in all 3 interviews was mindset and mental toughness. So I'm going to break down 5 key points that I learned about mindset when I was actually trying to learn about productivity from these amazing YouTube productivity guys. Here we go. Number 1, preparation. So this one comes from Anas Noor Ali. When I did my interview with him, I learned that he prepares for things like I've never done before myself. Oftentimes we will try our best to prepare for things, right? Let's say, for example, we've landed a job interview, we'll try and prepare for it. We've got a public speaking gig, we'll try our best to prepare for it. Anas takes it a step further. Anas prepares even when he doesn't need to, even when nobody's asking him for it, even when he doesn't require it. When I interviewed him, it took me by surprise that he was studying even though he had already passed all of his exams, and he had even already got his job. He was just studying mad hour days, by the way, so just so that he can be even more prepared for the job that he's already got. Nobody was asking him to study, nobody was asking him to prepare. The fact that he had got the qualifications from medical school already meant that he was already in a position and already prepared to the standard that they would want him to be prepared for in order to become a practicing doctor.
But yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons is essentially just because I'm essentially starting work in August. And part of our work as kind of doctors and junior doctors is dealing with patients and caring for them and all of that aspect. So like for me, it was just about kind of trying to keep the knowledge in check just before I start working, and make sure that like I'm not forgetting stuff, and that I'm able to provide like the best patient care to when the time arrives, essentially. Yeah, and it's just about like keeping knowledge up to date and some of those aspects, because you lose it very quickly, especially when I've got 3 months left of nothing and then 2 months of quarantine. It can get lost very, very quickly. So just keeping things up to date, that was kind of my thought process behind it. I think it might be a bit of fear as well that's kind of pushing me towards it, just because I've never worked as a junior doctor. and like the learning curve is going to be extremely steep. So it was just about, you know what, like, let me just get my head down, try and make sure like I'm ironing out all the issues before I start working so I don't make any mistakes.
So to round up number one, I guess the point there is to prepare even when you're not required to study and research and work hard, even when it's not expected of you, because it will always pay off in the end. Number two, and this one again is from Anas. It's something else I learned from his mindset in my interview with him, and that was the mental toughness to just ignore the fact that you don't want to do something.
I guess one thing that I try to do is kind of separate emotions from work, and not to let kind of emotions dictate the things that I need to do. So if I need to so if today I have a video to release, or I've got some kind of specific work or a specific task that I need to get done, then I try and see it more in terms of the perspective of discipline. Like, I need to be disciplined enough in order to get this thing done, rather than it being like, okay, I don't feel like doing it, so let me not do it. So trying to remove the emotional aspect from it and not being guided by it, and rather being guided by your need to be disciplined and get your things done. That's kind of how I've tried to separate things. Essentially, it's just about the discipline. When time comes to work, then it kind of needs to get done. Whether I feel like doing it or whether I don't feel like doing it, that's kind of irrelevant.
So not wanting to do the work is not good enough. Who cares? Okay, let's shift over to a new interview. Number three comes from Karma Medic. This one was a really, really cool one. Probably one of my favorite points actually in this list of 5. And this one was, what was it again? Oh yeah, do not be distracted when the journey changes. So let's give this one some context. Nasir is a medical student and he's always wanted to be a doctor. But all of a sudden, he started getting so much success from his YouTube that it's enough success for him to be completely distracted if he wants to and actually just focus on YouTube. It would probably make him around the same, or if Ali Abdal is anyone to go by, more than being a doctor. So I asked him if the success of his YouTube channel has made him want to change direction in life.
It's a good question, but honestly, it hasn't changed for me at all. Like, being a doctor and studying medicine has always been what I've wanted to do, and it continues to be my number one priority. YouTube as sort of this thing that started out as like a fun side hobby and now has like grown into so much more than that. It really is for me like still a fun side hobby, but it's not something that I want to take away from my number one priority in life, which is to become a doctor.
So the amazing point to take from that is, if you start something with the intention to finish it, along the journey there's going to be distractions. You're going to see things along the way that are going to pull you in other directions. But at times you have to remind yourself what that end goal was and limit those distractions and see them as just distractions and finish that task. And on the topic of distractions, all 3 guys seem to be really pro removing distractions. However, and this is point 4 now, Ali Abdal took a very, very balanced approach to this distraction situation and procrastination, and one that I've not heard others use, and I think it's a very practical and very honest way to look at distractions.
Oh no, I do spend half an hour at a time scrolling, but while I'm doing it, I fully recognize that this is what I want to be doing right now.
Fine.
If I have a deadline to work to or something, then sure, I won't scroll, because at that point, the punishment of not meeting that deadline would be too great. Like, you know,
Ali basically said that you have to be forgiving to yourself. If you're choosing to procrastinate, or if you're choosing to have some downtime and be on your phone, it's because you're choosing to do that. And so I guess the prerequisite of that is that we make sure that that is something that we're choosing to do and it's not something that we're doing while we're meant to be working. So final point, and this one again is from Mr. Ali Abdal, is perspective. We often think that we can't do certain things because of the perspective that we have. We've decided in our head that that's just not a thing that can be done or should be done or is the norm to be done, and therefore we don't do it. But if you do give yourself perspective and don't talk yourself out of it, you might come to the realization that that is a completely capable thing of being done. And here, Ali gave the example of him shooting 5 YouTube videos in a day, which to us probably sounds mental.
Like today I've got a day off work. I'm off tomorrow and the day after as well, just for annual leave. And I've set this sort of soft deadline for myself that I want to film these 5 videos today. So I've got the setup ready overnight. The way that I achieve high results is by not really thinking of them as high results. I just don't really think of it as being that hard. Like I've literally got the whole day. You know, we're going to finish this podcast. You know, at some point this morning, I've got like 12 hours of the day left. Filming 5 videos in 12 hours is actually very, very doable. It only takes half an hour to an hour to actually film a video. So I'm actually wasting a lot of time today by only filming 5 videos. And so that's kind of how I see it.
So that was point 5. Give yourself perspective and allow yourself to accept that that idea that you have can be done. And there we have it. The 5 points that I learned from productivity YouTubers in this incredibly interesting year. Prepare when nobody's asking you to. Not wanting to do the work is not good enough. Don't be distracted by the end goal even if the journey changes. Have a balanced approach to downtime. Don't be too harsh on yourself and think that you have to 24 hours a day be productive. And lastly, do not limit yourself mentally. There is a very big chance that you can do the things that you want to do and you're just talking yourself out of it because you're being a loser. And I'm joking, you're not being a loser because perhaps you're just relating your situation to what their standard is, but you can probably smash that out of the park. You can do that thing you want to do. See if you can implement those 5 things in your life and let me know in the comments below which one of those 5 points was your favorite. I will see you on the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.